It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking foosball.
Foosball was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live.
Coming to you live from the studios of Foosball Radio and Inside Foos TV. It's the 32nd episode of FoosTalk Live. Hey there, I'm Tom Robinson. We're brought to you by 518 Prints, truly one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com. Also brought to you by Foosballers The Movie. Find out more now at foosballersthemovie.com. Brought to you by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the country. Visit foosballclubsusa.com, and brought to you by Foos by Tony and Foos by Brandon. Take lessons from a top pro today. And brought to you by USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Register today at usafoosball.com. Once again, we're back live here at FoosTalk Live. Again, I'm Tom Robinson. Thanks for joining us tonight. By the way, Jim Stevens, my partner, is spending quality time with his family this evening. I understand they're somewhere in the wilds of Arizona. Not quite sure, but he's going to be there for the weekend, the duration, and we wish him, Amy, and the kids a very happy Thanksgiving. In the meantime, I'd like to introduce my co-host for this episode, the 1990 World Amateur Doubles Champion, an all-round foosball fanatic from the Windy City who's currently in the wind. It's Mark Torres. Hey, Mark.
Hey, man, how fitting, in the wind. It's hilarious. I'm driving right now. Great fun. I'm driving in the wind, truthfully in the wind. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I appreciate you taking the time to shall we say, multitask for the show tonight.
Yeah.
Now,
So work
are
calls.
you pulled over? Or are you actually en route?
Oh, man, I'm cruising. I'm behind a row of trucks, and work comes calling sometimes. And I professionally, I support ophthalmologists in surgery with some technology. And a surgeon asked me on a last minute to come help him. And so I'm driving 2 hours, but I'm not going to miss the radio show.
Wow.
If the call drops, I'll jump on. But you have some great people on the show tonight.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
it'll be fun.
that's dedication. Again, I do appreciate you doing that. And please be careful in the meantime. I don't want to be blamed for your, totaling the vehicle. That wouldn't be great at all. But
If I get really mad, I'll just start swerving, and that's how we'll roll with it that way.
hey,
All right.
I got to ask you, first of all, I don't know if a lot of people who listen to FoosTalk Live are aware, but last week we actually were on camera for the duration of the show. Jim, yourself, and I. Any comments? Have you heard anything about how old I look yet? I'm just wondering.
I heard that you should have won Sexiest Man Alive, but Michael B. Jordan won that. So you got released. It was close. It was very, very close.
Okay.
You got edged out.
All right.
I got a lot of great feedback on that show, by the way. I got messages. My wife saw it. Some other friends saw it, and they thought it was good fun.
Okay.
And it adds a little bit different flavor to the vehicle by which we use this media. So some people love radio. Some people will listen to this while they're doing other things.
Sure.
And some people will love to watch it and look at me.
Yeah,
And
there you go. With your
so.
angel wings. In fact, I was checking that out. The angel wings never seem to move. Why is that?
Well, I wasn't flapping, and everyone's at the end of the night, I'm called back to the heavens, and so that's when I flap. Otherwise,
there you go.
The whooshing sound could be bad for audio.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, since it's you and I think it's only appropriate that we bring a third chair in, because that's usually the way things go, right? It's that three-legged stool that we usually do for FoosTalk Live. So I think that
as long as it's not younger, better-looking talent, I don't mind.
Well, I don't know about that. In fact, I'm wondering if we could take a few moments here to welcome in all the way from the state of Michigan, the great state of Michigan, who's here to talk about, of course, what he does as a player and a promoter. And he's been a guest on our show before. So I thought, hey, what a great opportunity, since we've got an extra space here. We'll bring in the great Michael Stahl. Hello, Michael.
Hey, what's up, gentlemen? How you doing?
Glad you could make it tonight. What's up, man?
Hey, super happy to be here. Yeah, this is fantastic. I'm happy to step in as a co-host.
Nice.
What's up, Mark? How you doing?
Dude, it is younger, better looking talent.
Oops.
Drop him right now. Drop him right now.
I'll mute you.
Oh man.
I'll mute you. Sorry. Yeah, Mark can't handle it. He can't handle it. No, it's hey, by the way, guys, everybody looks younger to me. So that's just you put your mind at ease, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Feeling better.
So
Mike, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. It's
thanks
awesome.
for having me on, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we got some things to do tonight, no question about it. We're going to talk about things like, we've got the FoosTalk Flashback. We're going to go back to 2008. We're also going to be discussing the top 5. Now, I hope you guys got the list together, because this is a very crucial top 5. In fact, it's the FoosTalk Live top 5 guests who've actually appeared on the live podcast here since April. I think April was probably the first time we actually went live with this. So there's been a lot of people. I didn't realize. I was counting it up today. It's like 33 different people, something like that. Or maybe more.
Yeah, so get ready to go down, Mark. My list is going to kill yours.
Oh,
sorry, pal.
Already talking trash. Already talking trash.
So competitive.
Yeah,
I listened to every episode of the show, and yeah, I'm the perfect dude for this.
Nice. Nice. I like that. You did your homework. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys don't mind, but I didn't do a top 5, of course, but I did choose someone I think is most deserving of the most significant award when it comes to the top 5. I won't go any further, but I will contribute at the end if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. The other thing I wanted to mention too, that Louisiana States is happening this weekend. And it looks like a lot of the bigs are there. Michael,
yeah, a lot of upsets.
A lot of upsets, really? Like, just an example. What are you talking?
So, Kevin Romero, a pro player out of Denver, who's originally from Costa Rica, a good buddy of mine, actually beat Terry Rue.
Whoa!
In open singles, which was a pretty good upset. He's ranked pro, and he's getting ready to jump to that master ranking. He also beat who was it? Brandon Moreland.
Really? No kidding. Is he still in it? I mean, what's the status on that?
He is waiting to play Tony to get to the finals to play Tommy, which, by the way, another upset. Tommy beat Tony for the king seat in open singles.
No doubt.
So that's another good one.
Wow. So we could see how weird would that be if it wasn't Tony and Tommy in the finals? How strange would that be?
I've got a feeling it might be.
Really?
Maybe, but I'm not gonna shut Kevin out of the option of being in there either.
So his name is Kevin Romero?
Yes.
Gotcha. And you say he's a pro now. Now, how long has he been playing foosball? Do you know?
So he's been playing foosball probably since he was I think 6 years old. And down in Costa Rica, they love foosball, man. I went to Costa Rica for the Costa Rican Open, and they love it. The culture down there is so fantastic for foosball.
Nice.
The scene down there is great in San Jose.
Awesome. Very cool. Mark, what do you think? You think this is going to be an upset tonight in the open singles?
So it is an upset that Tommy York put Tony in the losers bracket. That is an upset. It's startling when Tony loses a match in singles these days. However, the check's not written until Tommy wins open singles, because betting odds right now are that if history is a guide, Tony's going to double dip Tommy. Now,
really?
We shall see. But it is truly an upset if Tommy wins open singles.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big deal, right?
I agree.
And Michael Stahl said something earlier. We can touch on it a little bit later. He said Kevin Romero is about to get to that master ranking. Maybe we could circle back on that as a theme later on in the show when we got our promoter, our guest on the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I dig it. And I understand we might even have maybe a report directly from Louisiana States this evening sometime. Not exactly sure who's going to volunteer to do that, but we'll capture somebody to give us some details ringside. See what's happening.
Hey, Tom, it's Clay here. I'm working on it. I've messaged a few people, and hopefully we'll have somebody in for you before the end of the show.
We love you, Clay. We love you.
Cool. Love you back.
Yeah,
Thanks,
man. So since we're on the topic of Tony Spredeman and upsets, I thought perhaps we could give a listen to the FoosTalk Live Flashback.
with great moments in foosball history. This is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Pass along that outer wall. A chance to move within one of victory once again as he sets it up in snake shot position. Trying to go to that far side, off a man into the goal. It is a world championship point for Tony Spredeman once again. The onslaught continues. And Tony steals it away. Spredeman angles it off the man into the goal. Tony Spredeman in 4 games in the second set after sweeping the first set in 3 straight games defeats Frederico Collignon to win the 2008 World Open Singles Championship on the tornado table. Now that was something else. Tony Spredeman, one of the greatest individual performances ever seen in the world of table soccer, beats Frederico Collignon in 7 games. It could have been 6 games. That's how great of a performance it was. He dominated on every rod defensively, offensively, really, I think, might have taken the sport to a new level, beating the greatest player in the history of the sport in that kind of fashion. Really was a performance for the ages by Tony Spredeman.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback.
So there you have it, 2008, Tony Spredeman with a serious upset over Frederico Collignon in the open singles. Wow, that must have been quite a match. Mark, do you remember that one?
I do remember that one, and it was stunning. You kept expecting Fred to turn the tide, to pick it up, and Tony the pressure was on. There's some steamroller moments in singles sometimes when one player just picks it up to another level. We've seen Fred do it multiple times where It seems like Clay could qualify me at any time. It seems like Fred's playing 100% sometimes, even though he's not, but he's pretty damn close. That's what he feels.
Yep.
Tony felt like everything he did was just going to work that match. He rolled over Fred.
No doubt. Yeah. No, and how old was Tony then? That was 2008? What was he, in his 20s?
So he was in his young 20s. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's spectacular. Had anybody done that prior to Tony at that age?
So I think he actually made it to the finals the year before that, if I'm not mistaken, in 2007.
Okay.
And so actually all year long, Tony, and I hear this story all the time, Tony actually had a picture of Rico on the background of his computer, his desktop computer, and he would practice and just look at that picture and just like gear himself up for the next year. And yeah, he came back and he sweeped him in the first set.
Wow.
And it was the most amazing first set that I've ever seen in an open singles final at Worlds. It's actually one of the biggest matches that I've seen getting into foosball. I think it was like 2009, 2010. It was one of the first matches I actually saw on YouTube that totally like made me hooked onto this crazy game.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
So inspired you.
Actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think about that, and you take the world champion like Frederico and then roll them over. I mean, that's, especially at that age, that's pretty astounding, pretty amazing. And he's still going. He's still doing it.
Yeah, and the longevity of his career is like just insane.
Yeah. Kind of like the Tiger Woods of foosball in a way.
Very much.
Well, what's amazing about it, and we can end on this and move on, but it is not easy to stay motivated when you're just are at the top of the mountain for so long. And Tony has to look for things and find things and divine things and synthesize things, and he does. And if he has to make Tommy his nemesis, and Tommy brings out the best in him.
Yeah.
Good for everybody. Yep. In the meantime, Tony's been waiting for a nemesis.
No
he
doubt.
pretty much has Ryan Moore. I hope you're listening, Ryan. Pretty much has Ryan in his back left pocket at this point. So, bring it on, Tommy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, by the way, and you mentioned Ryan Moore. I know that he and his wife are recovering from COVID-19. They published this on Facebook, I know, last week, and we do want to extend warmest wishes to Brian and his family, and hope everybody's feeling better very, very soon. Difficult situation, of course, but I think from what I understand, they were doing okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, I think that we may as well get down to brass tacks here because, of course, it's now time to talk about our top 5 of the list of the week. And, of course, you guys are prepared, I'm sure. So if you're ready, we're going to talk about the top 5 best guests so far since April, since FoosTalk Live came on the air, the top 5 best guests. And there's quite a few to choose from. So are you guys ready for this?
Yeah. Yes,
Bring
sir.
it.
All right.
Time once again for the FoosTalk Live Top 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now, with their top 5, here's Mark Torres and Michael Stahl.
That's you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That's awesome.
If there was ever an opportunity to be subjective, this is it. Because it comes down to who did you really like as a guest in backward order, and so that's where we are. And we'll start with Mike's number 5, unless you want to chime in a little bit. Mike, maybe you chime in a little bit on how you chose your top 5.
So I've been listening to the show for a long time, and I'm a big fan. Obviously, I think you guys do a fantastic job. So I'm super happy to be here and be a part of it. I guess maybe a little bit biased on a few, maybe, but for the most part, I just felt really inspired by these people when they were on.
Oh, dude, bias is what we're all about here. So bias is our middle name. Yeah. So here comes the what we call the first work part just for you.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
So this was a tough one. I'm going to have to pick John O'Brien for my number 5. And I'll tell you why. John is a fantastic guy. He does so much for foosball. He's such a big guy in the sport for promoting for the kids. And I really I think he did a fantastic job. I think that he represented the kids in Foosball Clubs USA fantastically. And I think that he was a really good guest for the show and talked a lot of heart, put his heart out there on that episode.
Awesome. My number 5. Sorry. Am I still here?
Mark, are you passing the truck or what's going on
this
out
is
there?
The deal. He's choking it because he's used to Jim going second. So Mark can just start the car, put it in drive, and then at some point Jim will reach over and grab the steering wheel.
There you go.
And make everything okay. So he doesn't know what to do without Jim. Go ahead, Mark.
Come on, man.
Holy crap. What am I doing here? All right. My number 5 is Midori. So we have all this testosterone on this show, man. It's all this banter. It's fun. It's great. I love it. And then we get some Midori on, and she tempers, and she's articulate and smart and witty and tells great stories. And I just loved her on the show. That's why she's back on the show multiple times, and we'll see her again. My number 5, Midori Kimura.
So, Mike, you want to retort on that? You've got that opportunity if you'd like to retort on his chick, his pick.
Well, I hope that's not his chick.
Yeah, right.
No, half my age. Just stop. Move on.
I'm gonna hit up
4. All right, to the rescue.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number.
Jesus. This is going to hell in a handbasket.
All right, 4.
All right, I'm sorry. I was still laughing. Sorry. Yeah. So I think that's a good pick. I think Midori is a great pick, and that's why she's my number 4. Midori, I liked when she talked strategy, and I really liked the question that was asked of her, what does she do in crunch time? And she just said that she's got these little tricks and tools and how she talked about her strategies and stuff. And I can relate to her a lot as a player, and also kind of grew up around her somewhat on the tour, being a younger player. I'm 24, and I think she might be a few years older than me. But yeah, I think Midori is my number 4 for that reason. And she was great, and she's good for the show. So really entertaining, Midori Kimura.
Great choice. Yeah, that's her name. Great choice. My number 4, Lewis Cartwright. And Lewis Cartwright, because I've known him for 30 years, and we have a text thread that's been going on probably for 8 years, and there's 7 of us on this text thread. And it is the most horrific, liability-ridden text thread that you could ever imagine. Like this text thread has to be hidden for all time, and you never know what you're going to get. So you get Louis Cartwright on the show, and he comes on the show, and he presents so well, and he tells great stories, and he's well-spoken, and that goes to show you the duplicity in some of your friends when you count on them. It's like, you bring a friend over for Thanksgiving, and you hope to God he doesn't scare your family with the reality. He came on the show, and he did great. He did great work, and I'd love to have Louis back. Louis Cartwright's my number 4.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 3.
So good pick for your number 4. I would say my number 3 has got to be that man from Texas, Tracy McMillan. One of my favorite, actually, probably top 10 favorite foosball players, Tracy. He's just such a class act guy, and such a fantastic goalie. If I could ever pick someone like out of the Masters, I would probably pick Tracy before I pick Todd. Honestly, like, this guy is a beast. Having him on the show, listening to his episode, you really got to learn a lot about the guy. Also, his counterpart, Dave Gummison. I loved hearing the dynamic from those two guys, because I watched, coming up playing foosball, I watched them play the open events, and I was a big fan of that team. My number 3 is Tracy McMillan.
T-Mac is in my honorable mentions, which I always have a phantom honorable mention list that I never really speak to. Yeah, T-Mac was great. You got a 2-for-1, right? You got T-Mac and Dave on the same show. That was awesome. Like, those guys are just like Bert and Ernie. Man, they're going to be, whatever they do, they're probably doing it together. Anyway,
Bert and Ernie?
my number 3, Bert and Ernie, man. Sesame Street, Starsky and Hutch. Come on, man. Who else? Optimus Prime,
Come on, Mark.
Megatron. Let's go. Number 3, Adrian Zamora. Adrian Zamora is another guy. Now I'm just talking about my friends. They're all going to be my friends. Adrian Zamora, just a statesman, just an incredible master of the game, and never changes. Like, who you meet and talk to at the foosball tournament is who you meet and talk to as a friend, is who you meet and talk to at lunch or dinner. He's the same guy. And I just got a world of respect for Adrian. Everybody loves Adrian, Hall of Famer, incredible guy. Adrian's right, and I think he really detailed his experience as well, and told a great history about the sport that we don't typically get exposed to. So my number 3, Adrian Zamora.
FoosTalk Live Top 5. Number 2.
All right, so my number 2, and this was a tough one, guys. I'll be honest with you. Actually, my 1 and 2, they flip-flopped a couple times, and I actually just put him down to 2 from 1, Don Shalafo. Shalafo is one of my big heroes in foosball, man. I mean, he really did it all. He promoted at such a high level, and he was a world champ. One of my favorite, guys. I actually went and stayed the summer with Don, and spent a lot of time in the Shalafo gym, so to speak, there in Chicago. But yeah, just learning about his promotion techniques and just him as a player, and really the history of foosball. I mean, that stuff fascinates me. If you come to my house and look around in my foos room, you're going to see like this old vintage TS stuff on the wall. You're going to see a table talk from '83 when Don Shalafo and Tony Bacon won the Dynamo World Championships open doubles.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, this
You're
guy
old
is
school.
one of my favorite people. He was almost my number 1, and maybe could have been, but he's number 2 on my list, Don Shalafo.
My number 2 is Phil Schlaper, last week's guest. And
Nice.
It's Phil. So there are guys that probably won't make it in the Hall of Fame, but they should. And it's not necessarily, it's absolutely not at all based on, if you looked at his body of foosball work, he hasn't won anything that does that. But he has single-handedly kept California foosball going for 3 decades. And he did it at the expense of being a great player. And some people do get in the Hall of Fame based on their contributions to foosball. And it's my hope that one day he's recognized, because there were moments where California foosball was dead. Nothing would have happened if Phil wasn't there with his tables out, going to collect quarters, and the laborious work of trying to promote tournaments and getting, kicked in the face essentially by ungrateful boozers coming to the weekly draws. That's absolutely a guy who should be in the Hall of Fame based on what he's done. And sadly, I don't mind saying it, there's a whole bunch of politics that goes into getting into the International Foosball Hall of Fame, the one here in the U.S. anyway. There's some politics.
Sadly.
I don't think certain ambassadors of the sport get recognized the way they should be recognized. And Phil, you heard Phil last week tell his stories, and he's a humble guy. And anyone from California would tell you there might have been generations. I'm talking about dozens of incredible foosers that would have never touched the game, learned it, experienced it, if not for Dr. Doom. So Dr. Doom.
Yeah. That's a great number 2, Mark. He's one of my honorable mentions. Let me tell you a quick story about Phil. So I believe it was 2013, and it may have been the Super Doubles event down there in Runaway Bay, Texas, or maybe it was later that week at the Tornado World Championships. I actually ran into Phil at one of those tournaments, and he had a copy of his. I actually recognized him from that Versus show that he did that you guys were talking about last week. By the way, the dude is amazing. Like, he's done so much great things, and I'm almost ashamed he's not on my top 5, but he's a great dude. But anyway, he gave me a DVD copy of the show, and signed it and everything. And now that I think about it, maybe it was Hall of Fame, one of the Hall of Fame tournaments. But dude, what a class act, Phil. Fantastic.
And you know what? Let me say this one last thing, because Phil will listen to this at some point. It was 1990. I was in the amateur doubles final. I told the story last week. There were all these people from Oklahoma and Texas that were jeering us and basically talking smack to me and my buddy Fernando, my goalie, Fernando De Rosa. And Phil was the lone face there. And we owe him some credit to winning that tournament. And I talk about that as a fond memory. It's a joke. It's a self-deprecating joke. Yes, I won a ton of other crap, by the way, besides that tournament. I like that, but I don't know. I don't know if I win an event without Phil's support. I don't know if I win. And he didn't have to stand there and root for us. So thank you, Phil. You're my number 2.
He's a great guy.
FoosTalk Live proudly presents the top 5. Number 1.
All right, that was fantastic. So my number 1, the guy has one of the most deadliest left hooks in foosball. I mean, he's just a beast. One of my favorite players too, and definitely my favorite episode on FoosTalk Live to date, Robert Mares. I mean, this dude was just fantastic. He sounds great on the radio show. Super entertaining, really just so full of knowledge. Robert Mares, my number 1, and it was pretty close. Don Shalafo just got edged out just barely by my number 1, Robert Mares.
I love Robbie. I played him in that 1990 amateur doubles event. I played him, and by the way, I've known the guy forever. I don't know if you were around when he had. Did you remember when he had the long hair?
Yeah.
Jesus, he had the long.
Seen the pictures
running down his back. And he was the number 1 player on the tour when it was a points accumulation. He was the number 1 player for a couple of years.
He hit all the events.
He's just the best. He's not my number 1. My number 1 is Steve Murray. And Steve Murray, once again, we talk about subjective and why. People don't know Steve Murray. People don't know Steve Murray is a cannibal. Steve Murray was he was a Celtic warrior.
Meat
eater. So in the late 80s, and that guy would take your head off. Now he's a grandfather now, and he's a long-term promoter. But anyone who knows what's at the soul, yes, he's a warm, loving, caring guy. But at the soul of Steve Murray, he's a vicious, vicious competitor. And I love Steve Murray for that. I love Steve Murray for how crazy he was. And I have that memory. And he was the guy on my poster on the wall in my garage in the summer when I was a rookie trying to learn how to do a wall pass. He was the guy on the wall. He's the guy I went to the tournaments and saw and watched him play. He's a vicious beast. And if we had more Steve Murrays with that kind of angry, ferocious, fighting, competitive spirit, we'd have a lot more fun in foosball these days. So
I agree, man.
So
my number one, Steve Murray.
So forgive me for saying this, but isn't Steve Murray at one point? There's a photograph of him standing on top of a table, glaring at the competition.
Oh yeah, he beat Tracy McMillan to get to the finals of open singles. I'm in that picture as well. I'm like Waldo. I'm in all these weird pictures in the corner. Like, where's Mark Torres? And he jumps up on the table. You'll never see another master win a match probably and jump on top of the table and leap off the table. He's a complete psychopath.
I love it.
And he's the best. He's the best, man.
That is funny stuff. No, and I got to say, guys, I completely agree with everything you just said, because I think these were all fantastic guests. And, it's a tough list to choose from. I mean, there's a lot of really terrific people. But, I don't normally chime in on the top 5, but I have my own personal favorite, if you don't mind. And I just, if you guys don't mind, I just want to play you a little clip of that exact interview. And it actually, I just want to set this up for you. In fact, it begins with Jim Stevens asking him a question about one of the biggest matches he'd ever been in. But judge for yourself if you don't agree with my choice for number 1.
You and Louis Cartwright versus Frederico Collignon, Sean Lafredo. 2 sets, both matches go 5-4 in the 5th. You guys win the first one, I believe. They come back and they win that second one, 5-4 in the 5th game. Talk a little bit about the experience of playing in what many people think is the greatest match of all time.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. I'm trying to remember because I'm trying to So that one was. Is that the one where I was a little bit annoyed at other issues that were surrounding me?
Could be, yeah.
So I mean,
what happened?
Oh man, that's a long story. Yeah, that's a long story. I'm not even sure to say what I was going to do.
Well, you've said pretty much everything else.
Is that the one? I'll make it easy. Is that the one where you were going to smash a trophy?
Yes, it was. Okay, so the only reason why I wanted to win that, like my only motivation to win that event, and me and Lewis already won. I think we lost our 3rd round of open doubles, and my motivation was to win the tournament so that I can grab that trophy and smash it on the ground and say you to a few people.
That's hilarious.
There you go. My favorite.
Nice one, Tom.
You know what the honorable mention is? The honorable mention is me. I'm my
You?
own favorite damn guest.
Oh no.
I was the harbinger of the top 5, and I'm the most entertaining guy I personally know. So hey, I'm my own.
There you go. Mike, do you have any honorable mentions?
Me, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Mark.
I do. I do have a few honorable mentions.
All right.
So Tom, you were in the background is one of them.
Nice.
No, but seriously, I do. AZ was a great one. Adrian Zamora is definitely an honorable mention on my list. Steve Murray as well. Definitely, the grandfather of Foos. He's the man. Definitely makes it happen down there in Texas. And honestly, here's a cool little story about him. He was trying to get me to come to Texas States and was literally trying to offer me, like, I couldn't make it financially, but he really did everything he could to make it happen for me.
Cool.
Let's just say that. He's a fantastic guy. I love Steve. There are a few other people that have done a great job on the show as well. But definitely those are a few good ones.
And more yet to come. As long as Mark doesn't mess it up for us.
As long as we can avoid the lawsuits that come with the risk of you being on the show, we're okay.
Yeah, we should be
Tom.
fine. Yes, sir.
Hey, real quick. Speaking of more to come, I have our buddy Jason Wicks here. He is, if you'd like to hear how Louisiana State's gone.
Absolutely. So live from Louisiana States?
He is live from Louisiana State.
Nice. So, Jason, welcome to FoosTalk Live. How things going in Louisiana States?
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Sure.
So far, Louisiana's been quite eventful. There's a lot more people here than I thought there would be.
Okay.
Tournament room is pretty spread out. I'm really enjoying the space.
Nice.
Been a lot of great matches and a lot of good competition.
So, as far as the open singles are concerned, have they gotten through the bracket yet, or what's going on?
We are waiting on the finals. You have Tommy Orr and Tony Spredeman. Tommy has the winners bracket.
Gotcha. I guess he knocked Tony into the losers bracket.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Big time. Now, what do you think is personally, what are the odds for Tommy tonight? Do you think he's got a chance?
I definitely do. I know Tommy, he's actually staying with me this weekend, and he's in my room sitting behind me right now. So,
nice.
you know,
he's there.
No offense. Get him on here.
Yeah. Let's talk to Tommy.
Tommy, you want to talk? No.
He doesn't have a choice. Don't ask him. Say, hey, come here. This is what I need to work on. We need to work on the aggressive phone conversation.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
I'm going to message him while
he's studying film right now.
All right. No, we don't want to break his concentration. Of course, we want to have his A game on when he goes out there. How much time does he have before he has to go out?
Probably 30 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're playing junior doubles final right now, and then they're going to call that
junior doubles.
Jason, how'd you do in the tournament, Jason? You do well?
I played really, really well, and then I didn't.
Oh, that's oof. That's key.
I pretty much did anything I wanted, and then it just just one match in each event just did me in.
Got it.
You know who I watched was fun to watch was Miriam and Ellen Moon beating Phil Schlafer and
really
and Justin Shaw.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big upset.
Wow.
I think Justin and Phil were like a 6 seed. Or maybe that's kind of high. Does it sound right? Maybe it was there was 16 versus 6 or something odd. And Ellen and Miriam, I think they beat them in 4 games or something.
That's amazing. Good for them.
Brutal.
Now Miriam's a great player. She's played in upstate New York a few times at our Smashdowns, and she always walks away a winner. I mean, she's just really good. Really good.
Dangerous as Ellen. Ellen in the back is freakishly accurate with her. Stuff's on goal all the time. Kind of scary back there.
Yeah,
they're both nasty players, man. Definitely don't want to underestimate that women team for sure.
Good news. Well, not for Phil, because we love Phil. We don't want Phil.
Sorry, Phil.
Yeah.
So ironically enough, Ellen is my pro doubles partner, and we were called up against Phil and Liz today. And before the match started, Ellen tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Phil doesn't know how to score on me, so we're good."
Oh
no!
Yeah, nice. And how'd that go?
Oh, we won 2 straight. It was a little easier than it should have been, probably.
Okay, all right. So, any other upsets or significant things happening this weekend as far as matches?
No, I will say yesterday I played the most foosball I've ever played my entire life.
Wow.
I played over 20 matches yesterday.
Whoa, no kidding.
And looking at your results,
winning, by the way. So good job there.
Yeah, looking at your results, Jason, you definitely have some good, top 10 finishes there, man. Actually, 4 out of 5 of your events were top 10. 17th in open singles. So, yeah, not bad, man. Just a few matches from breaking through.
Seriously. Yeah.
I think I broke even on points this weekend.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, it's a good showing. Now, as far as totals are concerned, how many people do you think showed up?
Over 200. I'd say roughly
Really?
250 signed up for events.
Wow. That's great. Wow, this given the current circumstances, that's pretty amazing. That's good news.
Sure.
Yeah, very cool. What are there are precautions everybody has to take, like hand sanitizer, that kind of thing?
Yeah, when you walk in and out of the room, there's a hand sanitizer station. Okay. You also are supposed to have your mask on anytime you're not playing in a match anywhere in the hotel or anything like that. As long as you're on a table, you don't have to have your mask on.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I did notice that when I was watching some of the matches. Just an off the cuff here. I was watching a little bit of Todd Lafredo in a singles match today, playing somebody I'd never seen before, and I think somebody was speculating he might be from Florida or something like that. And the feed went out about halfway through. I was watching it, and I'm like, it stopped for some reason because I think my internet. But I was wondering how Todd did today.
Todd did pretty good. He finished, 9-12. He lost to Tommy on the winner side.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, an exciting thing. I'm so glad you were able to connect with us and let us know what's happening.
Sure.
This is awesome. Of course, maybe next time Louisiana States happens, we can all be there together. Wouldn't that be cool?
Absolutely. Maybe do a show from
I have
here.
a question. So what's the post-match rituals as if we're not shaking hands? Are they like they elbow bumping or like just running into each other, chest bumping? What's the post-game?
Most of it's just fist bumps.
Fist bumps. All right.
Yeah.
That's pretty typical. I mean, that's pretty much what we've always done. Smash downs. We don't want to touch each other. It's like here's my fist. Here.
Hey, shouldn't they say if it's smash down? That seems pretty contact.
It does,
contact
doesn't
sport
it?
related.
Yeah.
COVID, they should change that to like stare down.
For sure.
That's my contribution.
We'll
I'll be
take
muting my
under-
mic now.
Well, thank you, Clay. We'll take that into
Clay, you're the
consideration.
man.
He is the man. Oh man. So Jason, how much time? How many more finals are yet to go? We've got obviously open singles. What about open doubles?
We've got 6 finals left, and then there's 2 events that haven't started yet. Open singles has their final, and then open doubles was already finished earlier this afternoon.
Gotcha. And what was the results for that again?
Tony and Rob beat Terry and Blake in 2 sets.
Wow.
Was it close?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I was playing, but I think at least one of the 2 matches were close.
Oh, they double dipped him too, huh?
Yeah.
The first set was close.
Yeah, big time. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Exciting stuff. And of course, the feed is continuing for the rest of the weekend.
I believe so. It's ran by Donald Wilson and Mary, so they're just going to keep turning it on every time it gets shut off.
I gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, very cool. Now, I know that that's something you do as well, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I do. I stream every Friday on Twitch.
Nice.
Where? Tell us where. Plug
it's Bearded Wonder Foosball on Twitch.
Bearded
go subscribe.
Wonder Foosball.
Go follow. Yep.
There you go. Shameless self-promotion. That's what we're all about here.
That's right.
He wasn't going to. I had to nudge him because I don't think he was going to. Yeah. Twitch.tv/Bearded Wonder Foosball.
You got it. Right
the
there.
best foosball on
Yeah,
Twitch.
buddy.
Yep.
And
I
live,
appreciate it.
Absolutely.
and live on FoosTalk from Louisiana States, man. Jason, we greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Next time.
Thank you, Jason.
We'll hopefully all be there together.
Absolutely.
All right. Have a good weekend.
You too. Take care.
Well, guys, what about that? Now, would you like to be there tonight, Michael?
Oh yeah, I've been having withdrawals, man. Like
Yeah.
I can't lie. I'm really an advocate for staying home and looking out for that high risk crowd. Honestly, my dad has emphysema.
Oh, gotcha.
And I've got
Gotcha.
other family members who are dealing with stuff like that. So
Sure.
I'm really just kind of going to tough it out and practice at home and come back with a master game at some point, hopefully.
Yeah.
But before we move on from the LA States, Tracy Brubaker, I just want to say congratulations on your women's open singles win over Hannah Smith. I watched that match, and I gotta say, Tracy's 3-bar shooting the ball. I mean, it looked sweet, man. She's really playing well, and I think she's been knocking on that door for a while too. So congrats to Tracy.
Yeah, moving up for sure. That's awesome. I know they've heard that name before. I think I saw her. In fact, one of her a little bit of her match this weekend. I think I saw 1 or 2 of those things. So yeah, that's terrific.
She's a sweetheart, man.
Yeah.
She's the best. She's awesome.
Very, very cool. Wow. Well, we've been talking about foosball tournaments and promotions for a bit. And of course, we had one of the biggest tournament promoters way back when, Phil Schlafer last week. And this week is no exception. We're stepping up our game here with another special guest. And if he's ready to join us, I'd certainly like to, from the great state of Colorado, give him an official welcome. He runs something called RayGun Promotions, or RayGun Foosball Promotions. His name is Ray Cordova. Ray, welcome.
How's it going, everybody?
How are you?
Hey,
I'm
Ray.
doing well. It was a really good pregame.
What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. I'd like to thank everybody
So-
for having me on.
You're very
Yeah,
welcome.
so happy to have you.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Mark, are you still in the wind? Are you still with us?
No. I'm in a parking structure, 3rd floor. I'm not going to check into my hotel because that could be a little distracting checking into my hotel. Ray, thank you for joining, man. Appreciate having you.
No problem, Mark. Thanks for having me, bud.
So, Ray, now, of course, your home base is Colorado. Now, are you in Denver, or what part of Colorado?
I'm from Littleton, Colorado. Pretty much born and raised here. So
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And for you, of course, because your name is so well known, RayGun Promotions. Do I have that right? RayGun Promotions?
actually, it started as RayGun Promotions, but just recently I started a new page called RayGun Foosball Productions. So it's RayGun Productions, and what I've been doing, Tom, is really kind of showcasing the local scene through a camera. And so, we have a lot of masters here, King Gabriel and Robbie Mars and those guys, but really, truly, there's a lot of good amateur and rookie players,
Mm-hmm.
pro players. And so what I've been trying to do with my new wave of promoting foosball in Colorado is to try to showcase some of the lower ranked players as well.
Okay, awesome. That makes things much more interesting because the potential for someone to move up the ladder and get recognized happens sooner in their career, correct?
Absolutely. And it starts with the beginner tournaments. A lot of those beginner tournaments that I was having, they didn't last very long.
Right.
A lot of players actually moved up pretty quickly. Alex Romero, for one, and he's now an expert. So it didn't take long. You can see talent in people,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see people that are struggling. So in the beginner tournaments, it's just a great way for somebody that's been around the sport for a long time to walk up after a match and say, hey, this is what I think you need to work on. This is things that you did great. But yeah, I love it.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, we have to it's tradition here at FoosTalk Live. When did you first see a foosball table? How old were you? And what got you addicted?
Boy, I'll tell you, I really, that was a long time ago. I'm,
Well, you're talking to somebody pretty old here.
I'm going to say middle school. And I do remember it. I remember it vividly. It was my older brother, Bob, and his buddies were playing foosball at a convenience store called Pump and Pop.
Wow.
And here in Littleton. And they had a table in the back with some pinball machines. And I was a little bit small, and he kind of shooed me away a little bit. But after they left, I would just kind of pull that metal crate up, that milk crate, and just jump up there and just smack away.
That's
I was
great.
just a ball slapper.
What kind of table was it?
It was a Deutschmeister.
Okay.
And most of my arcade days were played on Deutschmeister.
Nice. Very cool. And
Yeah.
so how long is it before you decided, okay, I think maybe I can do this competitively?
Well, that's a really brutal story, but it's a funny one. Brown Top. So the $1 million table came out, and I had a wicked push kick, I thought. And I would hit that thing so hard when I let go of the bar, Tom, it would vibrate. It's like,
I love it.
And so I popped into a place called Sports and Games, and unbeknownst to me, Tom Spear and Todd Lafredo were there.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so Todd walks over and he says, if you ever want to learn to play this game, you need to lose the push kick. And I was like, hey, dude, put your quarters up, I'd never seen this skinny little dude before. And he absolutely pounded me. I don't think I ever got to shoot the push kick.
No kidding.
I never saw it on my 3-bar. I'd never even seen a wall pass. I mean, I was strictly a arcade player.
Right.
And, a Deutschmeister. But I loved the brown top table. But yeah. That's when I thought to myself, I think I'm just going to take this guy out back.
You would have beat the living crap out of him because he was probably 90 pounds.
Yeah, he was just a little tiny guy. But Tom Spear was there too, and he was laughing away. And it was just it was a moment where I thought, and Todd told me, he said, hey, when you get done with school, because the high school was right behind this place.
Mm-hmm.
And he just said, just come on over, and that's how I met Todd. And we ended up practicing together, and we'd go fishing together, and
cool.
We'd go work out with weights because he thought that was important at the time. I don't think that's probably what he thinks now, but interesting time with Todd and growing up in foosball with him. I think that is probably where I think the turning point was.
Okay.
Where I started to get competitive.
Ray, what year was that, Ray?
Boy, I'll tell you. Let's see, I graduated in 79, so I would say it would be about that time because that's when I hit my first big tournament.
Oh man, yeah.
So
he was just on the rise after winning a world championship, right?
Right.
He was on the rise,
and it sure did feel like it too because I didn't know it. It was unbeknownst to me how great he really was. I mean, I knew he was a much better, superior player than I was actually, but I didn't know him and his all his greatness until Lamplighter, which was a place that I frequented. But we had a promoter come in there and took over the place and took all the brown tops out and put in Tornado.
Oh, interesting. All in one swing.
And so with Todd, Tornado really suited his game. Todd is a not that he couldn't play on any table back then, but Tornado was big for Todd's game. Would you agree, Ray?
Absolutely. And the thing that was really amazing about Todd on the Tornado is as he, mastered the table, I would see him come in. I worked there, so I would write up the tournaments, draw them up on paper back then, but anyway, he would come in during the day, and I'd just pop a table open, and we'd play and we'd practice, and he would just be doing everything. I remember for a whole year he did nothing but a tic tac, closed hand tic tac, and it was lethal, and he would. When I go to his house to go fishing or we'd go work out, he would always be in his notebook. And one day I just said, "What is that? What are you doing? Are we going to go or what?" And he goes, "No, man." He goes, "I'm getting ready for Worlds." He goes, "Check this out." And he shows me this page on Johnny Horton. And he said, he goes, "This is what happened."
That's good.
Yeah, this is what happened the last time I played Johnny. He goes, "And this is how I'm going to approach him if I run into him at the next tournament, whatever tournament he was getting ready for." And that's when I thought to myself, there's something different about these masters. There's just something different about them, and so that's how I got competitive in the game. It was really through Todd Lafredo.
Let me say too, I'm going to ask a question in here and not just pontificate, but that's how people approach the game. They had notebooks. They took notes on specific players and managed the minutia. None of this shooting from the hip. What do I remember the last time? They had notebooks, and Todd basically documented and strategized. That's a lost art. I don't think many people are doing it. I think people are kind of just trying to go from memory and what happened last time, and maybe they jotted something down. Not that kind of approach. But here's another thing I want to ask you about, Ray, because people tend to romanticize their era to begin with. Like, I love the 90s, but I'm from the 90s. That was my era of foosball. People like to dream up, and I get it, get caught up into romanticizing what they did with. I remember Todd incredibly well, and there's not a strong appreciation. He's great now. He's 60. He's still beating the hell out of these guys on the 5. His pull shot's a hammer. So I don't think people appreciate the speed and the agility and the talent that Lafredo was. He's a shell of what he was, and he's still great. Ray, can you speak to a little bit about how, and Colorado being a hotspot for the top masters and the top winners in the country for over a decade easily, why don't you speak to a little bit about Todd's true form, Todd's true talent, and his true dominance?
Yeah, Mark, I think you're correct. I mean, when I first met Todd, like I said, it was on a brown top, but when he went to Tornado, he would actually, it wasn't just the notebook. He would draw on the table. And even to this day, I remember talking to him. He was drawing on the table still. This is maybe just the last time he was in Colorado, and he came out, and I said, what are you doing to Shell's table? It's Shell McMillan. He's got a table at his garage. But anyway, he said Tony's 2-bar passing 2 to 5. He said these lines represent the angles that he uses, and he goes, and I'm studying those so that I can stop it because, apparently he's having a problem with it or whatever. I think everybody does, but just so even to this day, and I remember him throwing a little bit of borax. It's like Ajax. It's like borax. A white powder, right. And he would put it on the table, and he would shoot his pull shot or whatever shot he's working on, and he would watch the pattern or the path of the ball,
the mark.
Yes, and so and back in the day, Todd did that stuff, but he's still doing it. I remember I used to have to clean up the tables afterwards after all the players would leave, and there was a big white patch that was beyond. I mean, I put a ball out there and tried to swing at it, and I'm like, "What?" The pinch, and he would just leave a big white mark on the table, and it was just incredible. And Todd still plays that way today. And I remember in a tournament, it was a local tournament, and we were getting the best of Todd, me and my partner. But Todd has levels, and I think all these masters have levels. And Todd is one of those players who told me that he practices things. Like he will go to a local tournament, practice a pass, or he'll practice his middle on his pull shot or something, or his pushback. He'll push back straight or something like that. And I played with him in a local tournament. He says, I'm just going to tell you right now. He goes, I'm working on something. So he goes, I'm going to try to win. He goes, but I'm working on something. So, and it was, he kept hitting the wall and wall and wall. But eventually he nailed that thing. It was a pushback straight or whatever he was working on. And so it's those types of players that really don't care about their result in a tournament that doesn't have a title on the line or a trophy or something like that. They work on things, and I think that's the difference.
Yeah, I agree. That's definitely one of the differences. And you do see a lot of masters do that, man. I've gone to many locals throughout the country, and I haven't been to a Colorado local, but I can only assume that you'll see masters like Ryan and, well, I guess he's in Oklahoma now, but guys like that just playing around, and it's all about that prestige.
And I think they have a memory about even players that aren't top ranked players. And I kind of think this is true because I played Tony Spredeman for the first time in open singles. I think it was the Worlds about 2 or 3 years ago. And I blocked him really well. You know how the masters always come to the tables and they warm up for 5-10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Well, I pretended like I was kind of warming up, but I was just kind of watching where he's hitting the ball, right? And this is back when Tony's pretty much just rocking the ball. He wasn't really walking it like he is now, which I think is extremely effective. And I blocked him really well. The next time I played him, I was playing him. I was pitting for Paul Smith. And right out of the gate, he smokes a bump off the wall and just rips it into open hand pull kick and looks up at me. and then he steals Paul's pass and he rips it into open hand push kick and he looks up at me. And then he just had his way with me. And it was like, I wanted to go to the bathroom and cry. It was like he said, I remember. And, and so really? it was fun. Just to watch this guy trying to crush you it was absolutely just incredible.
In the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And those are the moments that a true foosball player, they want to get there. I played in open doubles with a rookie and he said, this is what I want to do. I want to play the big guys. And he just folded and he wanted me to come up front. And I was like, no, you're staying up there. And our next opponent was Tom Yor and Eric Hiltner, and we absolutely got hammered. But I was not gonna go up there. So anyway, I think
tough love character building.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
no kidding.
He's a much better player because if you don't have that mental game and that mental toughness, you're just gonna wash away into the abyss of foosball players.
It is brutal going up against one of those top dudes, and if you're not like in the right place mentally, and if you just give up and you get rolled over, it's so brutal, man. I've been there. Not a fun time for sure.
Right. But I just go into it looking like, hey, you know what? He's supposed to win. So really there's no pressure on me. I'm just going to play my game.
It's his game to lose.
And sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was just going to say it's his game to lose. And of course, it's all the glory if you win.
For sure. And, and that's the way you got to look at it. There's people watching, you're on a pit table. I played Todd in Vegas and we were on a pit table and the cameras were rolling and my partner could not hit. It was designated mixed, could not hit her pull. And I was just like, you know what? You're going to have to hit that on Todd at least 3 times. He is not going to move. So the head game is extremely important. I think in my tournaments as a promoter, I love watching the younger players and just watching how they practice. Even when they walk in the room, what do? Do they just walk up and start smashing open hands on the 3-bar? Because I got to go over and say, listen, if you're going to warm up, I want you to watch Cindy Head. When she walks in this room, she warms up completely differently than what I just saw. And you really need to work on your 5-bar. And it's just things like that. I think that I didn't have as much. Yeah. And so that's what I try to do in my promotions.
So that's awesome.
My question for you, Ray, is back in the day when you were working with Todd and of course coming up through the ranks, was there, shall we say, a free and open exchange of ideas with other competitive players, or do people kind of keep it to themselves?
I believe it was more kept to themselves.
Okay.
Back in that day, Todd of course, with me, just wanted to bash me, and if I wanted something, I really had to ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that he was, that kind of guy. It was just that, he was focusing on winning a title, and I was focusing on trying to figure out how to get that white mark,
Right.
So yeah, I think, but today, like after the match against Tony, I was shooting a push kick because I had torn a ligament in my arm and it was all wrapped up. But anyway, I had got my push kick back, and I just was cleaning the clock with everybody until I got to Tony. But after the match, he took me aside for a half an hour.
Really?
And told me everything that I should do with that push kick, even though he didn't know that was not my shot. My shot was a pull shot, and I still can't shoot to this day. That ligament's just gone. But anyway, just for somebody like that, at that level, to come over to me and say, hey, let's go to the table and let's talk about this, is great. And I'm seeing that more with the players today than I did back in the day.
That's good to know. I know that Tony's done that. I've seen him several times working with young kids, in fact, and he seems to enjoy that.
Yeah, and I think at Worlds, Mary Moore had a great little thing going. She had a lot of the master players like Dave Gummonson and stuff just doing like a pull shot seminar, and with the beginners, and it just things like that I think really have to happen, because players just will blindly fall into this game and take course that may get them somewhere if they have some raw talent, but if it's something that they have to grow, they're not going to get it unless they have somebody standing over them saying, you know what?
Yeah.
You got a great shot, but you're never going to get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the year that Mary had that it was a beginners clinic at Worlds, and the Masters came, and I think stuff like that is one of the coolest possible things you could do as a promoter. I mean, people wonder, like, I posted about this on Facebook, like, this is awesome, it's all blah blah blah. People are like, wow, you're supporting Mary. I'm like, no, get something right here. If somebody has a good idea, I'm all about supporting it.
Sure.
And when Mary said that she was going to do that, I was like, hell yeah, this is where it's at, because if you don't get new players excited and then learning from people who can actually teach them, and plus there's also like some kind of celebrity rock star kind of just neatness to it.
Sure.
It's just so cool. And I hope when foosball's back to normal, I hope they do stuff like that again, because that was a great idea.
Yeah, and one of the things I'd love doing is putting this in their head. A beginner that I knew had the talent, he had the raw talent, or she had the raw talent. I'd walk up and I'd say, you know what? When you beat me, when I have to try to beat you and you beat me, you have made a major step. Are you a master? Absolutely not, because I'm not a master. But that's your goal. Beat me. And Alex Romero got to the point where he was actually crushing me. Okay.
Wow.
So, but he's kind of been out of the scene a little bit because he's got kind of a high risk lung disease or something. So, but I hope that Alex gets back after this beer virus or whatever it is done with, and we get back to playing, because you guys are going to be absolutely amazed at this kid. He's learning at an extremely fast pace.
Interesting. Alex Romero.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Remember the name, guys.
Yeah. I've actually got to
I remember
play.
playing him as a rookie in Colorado State a couple years ago.
Yeah, I played him at Hall of Fame too, and I remember playing him the first time maybe a year before that, and I completely crushed him. And then I played him the next year, and he had a match point against me. So
damn, wow, big change. Change.
Colorado used to have this. So there's all these circles, like circles of knowledge, frankly, and there was a circle of guys, and so I don't know if there's a circle within the circle, but I know that Gary Edgeworth and Todd, I think Steve Rendon, Scotty Weidman, Gus Trevino, these guys got together and they practiced together and they shared the knowledge amongst themselves. But I think there might even have been a tighter circle that Gus and Todd and whoever. So there was something guarded about sharing the knowledge, and I talked about this in California. It was horrible because no one shared anything with anybody else. But what you're speaking to now is hopefully a new era of educating and not being so guarded about the information as it is disseminated to younger players. I think Inside Foos might become a better vehicle for that, with some changes to Inside Foos, where educating and grooming and nurturing young players through information. I think there's a coming era for that.
Interesting.
Media.
Yeah. We want more people to be a part of the sport, man. We don't want to exclude people. We want to grab that young dude and bring him up and give him some advice and share knowledge, because that's what it's really about, man. The community, the culture of foosball it needs that type of vibe where people are sharing knowledge and we're trying to be more inclusive. Make the sport big again. Which, by the way, it will be.
Yeah. No, I can tell you on a local basis here in upstate New York, I mean, we have a relatively solid core of players. But when I first got back into this in 2011, I first met these guys. I mean, they didn't know me from Adam, but very quickly welcomed me into the family, even though I was a crappy player. But that made the difference for me. Yeah, made the difference. So this is the kind of thing that needs to happen more often for players, so they can say, you know what, this is not just a sport; it's a community, it's a family.
I have a theory. I think it's all about whoever the local master is. So if you go to to Louisiana, and the community that they have in Louisiana is incredible, dude. Those guys are cool. Like the first tournament I ever won was with a player who was from Louisiana, and I had a whole cheering section there, and I was like, dude, what the crap? You think about it, it's like their guy is Terry Rue, who's one of the coolest people, the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like
I agree.
Fierce on the table, but he's so cool off the table. And so you go around to all these little spots, and the places where the people are like that, they're helpful, they want to teach you. It's because it's from the top down. That's how their top player is. You go somewhere where people are stingy with their information and their attitude is more like, just figure it out. It's probably because the top player is a jerk.
Right.
And I don't.
Good point.
I have no science behind that, but that's my working theory as to why certain communities don't grow, because their top player is a butthead. I'll keep it clean, But
I completely agree with that, man.
Yeah, and you don't have to say, "Hey, let me show you how to beat me." Right. What you need to do is say, "Listen, when you come into the tournament, these local tournaments, and I see you just rip 3 or 4 racks of a snake shot, and I know you have no 5-bar series. You're going about this backwards."
Mm-hmm.
And you teach them 2 passes. You teach them a lane and a stick wall or whatever, or a brush lane and a brush, kind of a brush down or chip pass or something. And that's what you do, is you grab them and you just give them something real simple. And there was a promoter here. His name was Davin Yoshida, and he was in Boulder, and he focused on that. He would actually take players aside and say, "This is what I want you to work on." And if they didn't work on it the next week, he was all over them.
Mm-hmm.
And he promoted foosball for 15 years in the Boulder area. And his main focus was on bringing new talent in.
Well, there you go. So Ray, and when did you specifically, as a player, conform, or shall we say, convert into a promoter?
I think that, it's like I mentioned before. I wanted to be an attorney, so
okay.
I went to school to be an attorney, and I thought, I see the difference when I play Tom Spear. Okay, I played him at Colorado State, and it was just a funsy event, but still, it was goalie wars.
Oh, wow!
And I'll never forget it, because this was a defining moment for me, and I smoked a pull shot. I went to pull the point, and he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And everybody's like, "Ray, that went back in your hole." And I go, "What?" He stuffed you. I said, "No, I see it." Okay, whatever. And I put that next ball up there, and I said, "I don't care if I pull this rod out of the table and hit that girl across the room. I'm going to blast this thing." And he stuffed me again.
No kidding.
Oof.
And so, it's just it's a thing where you say, "Okay, where am I in this sport? And where do I want to be?" And I think for me, it was, I really love to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And in my career, that's what I was a teacher. I taught people how to sell things. I was, in the automotive industry. And so I came back from that, and I did play. I was gone for like 15 years, but I did play. I played all over North America.
Okay.
I used to schedule my trips with Michigan State or Oklahoma State. and I would just travel the country, Jacksonville. I played tournaments in Boise, Michigan. When Scotty Weidman was up in Minnesota, it was just, Dallas, with Dave Raddick and all those guys. And so that's what I did. But I really, really wanted to go into the promoting side. And when I came back to Denver, I got with Tim Walters. You guys know Big Baller?
Oh yeah,
heard that name.
Yeah, he's with TSK. Tommy Chapman, Cherry Chapman, they throw the Colorado State tournament here.
Right.
And I told him, I said, I need to get into this promoting thing, like seriously get into it. And I bought some tables. This is 4 years ago or whatever. Before it was somebody else's location and tables. I would drop the tournaments. I would get the players there. But I think I really got serious here about 4 or 5 years ago. And I did a bunch of cool things that I thought, because I really thought in Colorado that the players in our little scene really were horrible at singles. And so I brought more, instead of a DYP or a bring your partner where all the little guys are getting smashed by Kane and Kevin. I brought in singles, and I really, we all know that singles is a different game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the transition is just, it's totally different. And, the 2 to 5 passing that's coming in and all that kind of stuff, it's different. So that's what I did. I did stuff like that, the singles.
Didn't you have a super singles event, Ray?
I did have a super singles event at the Foosball Bash, and the Foosball Bash goes all the way back to Gil Jackson. I don't know if you guys remember Gil Jackson.
Oh yeah.
So him, and I think he's the one that wanted it back in the early 80s. It's the first time I've ever seen a tornado table. I think Dave Currington brought it out. We all went up in the mountains, and the Foosball Bash back in the early days was just a camping trip. But that first one had a tornado table. So there was 4 of those. When I started to promote seriously here in 2017, I said, I'm going to throw a Foosball Bash, but we're not going to the mountains. We're going to have a tournament. And so we went to a state park, and we played outside. And I told them,
outside.
I think I remember seeing that. I remember reading about that. That was pretty extraordinary. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah, and it was, Rob Mars came by, and Rob Mars is just great. I got to tell you, the guy's he's just one of the greatest out here in Colorado. But anyway, so, we had that tournament. We moved it to Cherry Creek State Park, and I think in 2019, it was a $5,000.
Wow.
Nice. We had sponsors, Foos Gear, SNA Transmissions, just, big guys just jumped up and threw some money in there. And this 2020 obviously got canceled, but I had a great sponsorship from Warrior. Trevor and Tom and of course Brendan were going to throw some tables at me, and he said just give them away as prizes, and so it got canceled, COVID or whatever. But yeah, so we had
that's
several
awesome, man.
foosball bashes, and they were fun. Outside camping.
I actually was going to plan to come out to Colorado and go to the next Foosball Bash because I heard all about it, man, and that outdoor party type energy, and having all those top players show up. You've really made a name for yourself as a promoter. And honestly, I got into promoting watching you promote, man. And I've picked up a lot of tips and tricks, and I've messaged you and asked you questions about stuff, and you've really been an inspiration for me. I would say probably a top 3 favorite promoter for me, honestly, man, locally.
I appreciate that. I'm honored. But that goes back to me being a teacher. I really like teaching people. And so I remember a player came to me and they said, "Whoa, this other venue is having an Ironman DYP." I go, "What?" They go, "Yeah, down here in this state, they're having an Ironman DYP. Man, aren't you mad?" And I'm like, "No, absolutely not."
What is an Ironman DYP?
Well, see, a lot of players, and this goes back all the way back in the day, it was hard to get some of the top players to come and play, or not even a top player, just players that didn't like DYPs, because they would draw the bar drunk. Some guy that was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to have them pay a double entry fee. They're going to play by themselves. And if they win the winner's bracket, then everybody else is playing for second and third. So it gave an incentive for those guys that didn't like to come out to the DYPs to come out and play by themselves and try to take on a double team. And I'll tell you, a lot of Ironmen won that. Kevin Romero was one. He blasted us, okay? But there was other players like Stephen Rawlings, we call him Kid. He's won it a couple of times, and Jedi. I don't know if you guys know who Jedi is.
By the way, Tom, I don't know if you know this, but Colorado, they do it like prison rules that nobody uses their real name. It's only nicknames.
Yes, I noticed. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah. So in case you're wondering, it's not just these 2 or 3 people. It's everybody. Everybody has a nickname in Colorado foosball.
And Champ won it a couple of times. He'd come out just to show everybody that he could win it, and of course, it was just fun. So it's stuff like that, just always changing up what you're doing. And when I saw other promoters like Michael or Bill Chance or whatever pulling some of my stuff off onto their own and making it even better, I thought, man, this is just killer. I mean, Bill Chance is bringing back Oklahoma foosball.
He's a juggernaut, man.
Oh, I'm down there. Back in the early 2000s, I was there. They had some of the best women's players. Tommy Atkinson, it was just a great scene. I played in Oklahoma City. I was there for like 3 years. Oklahoma City, Norman, Tulsa. But it kind of just faded away. And Bill is just really making a charge to bring Oklahoma back.
Right. Now, is that the scene we see with Tommy Atkinson in Foosballers, the movie? He's outside kind of an empty building. He's looking through the window and he's like, yeah, that's where we used to play. Is that the same place or is that something else?
It could be. There was a few places there. If it was in Oklahoma City, that was definitely the place.
Okay.
They currently actually play at Magoo's, the place for foos. It's Bill Chance's place, man. They do a really good job out there. Bill's a great guy and a great promoter.
Yeah, he's willing to sacrifice his time and money and that's really what it takes. It's not at this level, at the local level, it's not about making money. Okay. It can't be. It cannot be. Now I can understand that the big tour events, Colorado State and with Mary, that's their income. And Mary, she's all over the country, man. I mean, how would you like to do that? Right. So
that's a lot of work.
I get it. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do that, to be honest.
No.
It's so much work and so much responsibility, and it's so easy to be controversial, and not everyone's going to be happy, and that's a big thing about promoting, man. Is you're not going to make everyone happy doing what you're doing. There's always going to be that one guy who's got an issue with what you're doing, and so you just really have to just do your best. And one thing that I'd like to add about RayGun here is that the dude really captures his players like intimately. I mean, the pictures and the videos he posts and the commentary he does. I mean, I've been watching his page for years now, man, and I've picked up a lot of pointers, but no one captures their players as intimately as this dude does. Cool. I mean, he does a great job. You can really see the heart and soul of these players in Colorado through Ray.
Yeah, and I grew up with a lot of them. Shelley Langley and Tracy Brubaker, that you guys just mentioned. We've been playing together for 30 years.
No kidding.
So when I took over promoting after the tournament, I obviously put the results in, but I also put in pictures of the players.
There you go.
Up close pictures, action shots, funny stances. Why does this guy stand on one foot? Just stuff like that. Just
personal.
And personal stuff. Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Mark Rudnicki, Gary Edgeworth, Todd Lafredo, Joe Levstick. Who's got the hardest pull shot ever out of Colorado?
Great question.
That has to be, it's a player probably you haven't heard of. His name is Rick Lucas.
Oh yeah, I know Rick. Rick Lucas. Rick Lucas is a hulking dude, like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah. He was like a toy. Oh yeah, Rick Lucas.
You could post both guys out there, and he would still try to go around you, and he'd probably put a hole in the wall. But
yeah,
I'm gonna go with Todd Lafredo because I remember playing him, and he was obviously working on something, and he beat me. But his pull shot was just off a tick or two. But his last shot, he scorched it. I mean, he hit that thing so hard, and he looked up at me like, I still got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be Todd Lafredo. It has to.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about I think it's Lafredo too, and it's Lafredo because it is the perfect form for a pull shot. He's got the perfect, like, he's the who's the swimmer, Michael Phelps. He's got the perfect build, the perfect everything for a pull shot, and he used to play lazy. Like, he wouldn't even get. I played him in open singles once. He beat me in 4 games. He didn't even get into a stance. I was so pissed off. He wouldn't even get into a stance. He shot his pull shot. He cut a bunch, so he wouldn't get into a stance. He was shooting cutbacks on me on accident. He was apologizing, and he was just didn't want to get into a stance. But when this guy, and if you were there, I don't know if you were there or not, when Lafredo beat Everson and Rudnicki in the finals of open doubles, and this came up earlier in the pre-show, when he wanted to blitz you, like when he wanted to not be lazy, and he wasn't trying to save his shoulder and save his arm because he was playing in 5 events and in the finals of all 5. If he wanted to completely destroy you, his pull shot was unbelievable. It was light speed if he wanted to go after you. He just didn't feel like it half the time. He didn't need to half the time. It was still the best shot in the house. Anyway, I agree with you. Tyler Fredo, probably the most beastly pull shot out of Colorado.
Yeah, and all the masters have different levels. They can play it at a rookie level if they want to. They can play at a pro level if they want to. Ryan Moore, he can goof around at a high pro level and just totally smash everybody. But when you see him at Worlds up against Tony, there's a focus there that is totally different. I mean, it has to be, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's the way it is. I have 2 levels, right? I have a training level, and I'm going to blast you. I don't care if you're 80 years old level.
On or off.
There's actually a term for that. It's called the gas factor.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
We have a player that will walk in every once in a while. He's drunk or whatever, and he'd say, "I want to play the best guy in here," and they always go, Ray, and I come over and I have no problems just totally smashing the guy. But then, if he's a serious player and you think that you want to get him in, or, he's not just the bar drunk, then you tell him, say, you know what? We have a beginner tournament on Tuesdays. You should come because I see talent. You have hand speed. You have you grab the ball real well. I mean, these are things that you can't teach people. You should come and learn. And so,
right.
There's promoting and smashing.
Yeah. No, it's one of the dilemmas we've faced in upstate New York. We have a very young 12-year-old player, Sam Dijon, who plays in our DYP, and it's in a pool hall. So on a typical Friday night, you might see 30, 40 people in the place, and maybe 15 of them are foosball players. So every once in a while, some of the pool players would come over and then stand there and watch, see what we're doing. And every so often, you'd see a group of these pool players come over and watch Sammy play. Now, Sammy is basically, at this point, is winning pretty much every DYP. He's got to that level.
He's a beast.
He is. He really is a beast. And so these pool players just stand there and go, wow. And he's standing on a box. So they're just like, oh, yeah, looks like fun, guys. Hey, take care. Of course, it's very difficult to say, hey, why don't you join us? Come on in. And no, I don't want to I don't want to get beaten by a 12-year-old. Not interested. Thanks anyway.
Yeah, that's soul crushing.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I played Sam. He was on that little crate there, and I remember the first time I played Sully.
Yes.
And
Same thing.
it's just it was in their early years. Not so long ago, but I mean, it was just when they first started coming out.
Okay.
I didn't lose to them, and when they started crying, it was like, oh my God.
Right.
But I told Sully, I said, listen, what I see in you is a world champion. I said, you are going to be a world champion. I go, this is a handicap funsy event. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
I said, you are going to be a world champion. And my gosh, in 2 or 3 years, her and Deliza, right? Deliza? They won.
Yeah.
You see the talent. And Sam, I see the talent. I was playing him in pro doubles with Chris Valentine. He was playing the pits for his partner. And I was just throwing up a wall, and I kept looking at Sam like, Sam, what are you going to do? Get up here, and they finally made the change. He came out. It was too late, but, those are the things that you just see in people, these young second generation kids that are just phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very exciting.
Yeah, it really is.
Hey, Ray, let me ask you a question really quick, man. Speaking of like second gen, right? There's a good amount of players that do well out there that are second generation, but how do you think that we're going to get more players into the sport that aren't second generation? What do you think that we need to be doing as promoters locally to get more people playing foosball?
I was talking to Jerry Todd about this. Actually, he came to me and he came to Baller. He said, we need to kind of emulate the European program or whatever.
Yeah, their system.
The pubs, these clubs and pubs. We need to put more foosball tables, out there and just create a kind of a club scene where we're having, clubs everywhere. Yep. Bringing in players from bars. We have so many players that we have brought in from bars. It's insane. Joy Jensen. I don't know if you know the name, but I filmed her on one of my tournaments and I talked about her. Coming from a bar, CJ Cannon brought her in and she's just smoking ball, the ball from the 2 bar. And I think I played with her right before the COVID shutdown and she scored 5 shots from the back.
Wow.
Whoa.
But when she first came in from the bar, we could see the talent, right? And so these pro players and they don't have to be pros, expert players, whoever, if they go out to these pubs and they play with these guys and say, hey, listen, you have talent. I play with, really good players. Some of the best players in the world are here in Colorado. You should come check it out. I have business cards. RayGun Foosball Promotions. And they would ask me for my card or I'd hand cards out when I see a player like that. I think that's the way you do it. You got to have more foosball tables. And I'll tell you another thing. There's a guy here. His name is Dan Ham. He's from Evergreen, Colorado. He's a teacher. He's been promoting foosball in their physical education program for 15 years.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
We didn't even know.
Yeah.
We didn't even know until one day he came to one of our tournaments and he said, man, he goes, I would love to have my kids down here. And so Sandy Loires and Daniel, you guys are familiar?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They've done a great job.
Right. So John O'Brien and that whole thing, that's the key.
Yes.
That's the key because these younger players, they're the future. Right now, we got to pull in from everywhere. And I'm thinking the pubs and clubs, like just have you little clubs like Shell McMillan is the first club right now in Colorado, Schlito's Garage or whatever it is. And he has every Tuesday. And so you get all these clubs going and they compete against each other and they're pulling in players, from wherever. And the next thing you know, instead of Colorado having 200, players that come out to our tournaments at different times, of course, you have 500.
Jeez.
And yeah, the foosball bash, we had 110 players. That's that was just a fraction of what's here in Colorado.
That's amazing. So Ray, what do you think about, because recently we just talked with the gang from USTSO and their idea when it comes to a club system. Have you looked into that at all? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, I did. I think I kind of pushed him towards Tim Walters. That's Big Baller.
Okay, gotcha.
Because Tim really wanted in on that thing, and I think that instead of I don't know, I just think that it was a good thing to go that way because I can certainly go anyway.
Right.
But you have a big promoter like Tim. Walters, Big Baller, the guy that throws Colorado State with Terry and or Tommy and Sherry. I mean, that's a guy, right? And so Jerry approached him, and we'll see where it goes. But I think it's a great idea. I think that's where we need to go. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, to me, it just seems like what an added dimension. Now, I love the foosball family in our area, and I love playing on a Friday night at a DYP. But if it meant just a little bit more, like we can compare ourselves to other clubs across the country. That would make it so much more much more worthwhile and much more addictive.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's happened in small scales. I think at nationals, didn't we have a league? Like a league tournament here when nationals came to Colorado. I think there was a league tournament. These foosball leagues, I think, is what.
What was that called? It was like Vista or something like that. I remember that because there were some Michigan players that went and they won the amateur leagues for that as well.
Yeah,
and I think that's a good idea, and I think that that organization is feeding off that, and there's some great ideas. Like Michael, for one. I mean, you're an idea guy. Anybody can tell that. So you'd be a great addition to any program that would bring in new players. So, but I think at my level, it's just about the pubs, and getting players playing in leagues and in clubs and putting more tables down in high schools and middle schools.
Yes,
we had a junior tournament here that I did with Sandy. I think I kind of started to get into that, but we must have had 5 or 6 different schools there.
Wow.
And probably 30, 35 players.
Jeez, not bad.
Yeah,
all under 15, 16.
Yeah, and I bought them nice trophies, man.
Nice.
Right?
That's the way to go.
I remember seeing that, man, on Facebook, and you really did go out, the extra mile and bought great trophies. And those kids, you could tell those kids love that, man.
Yep.
Yeah, the medals and stuff, it's just like the look on their face, it's just, and they had so much fun. And I stood up at the beginning of the tournament. I said, this is not going to be anything but about fun.
Right.
No attitudes, no fighting. We're just going to have fun. Is everybody in? And they're like, yeah, we're in. And they just had fun, and they were high-fiving each other. And that's what you want. You don't want bullies in your system. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that promoters have to watch. I haven't been the greatest at it, but I have had to move players out of the scene because a lot of players are like, if I draw that guy, I'm not playing.
That's such a nice way to put it. I've had to move players out of the scene instead of just saying, "Yeah, I had to take care of business." Bounce them on out of here.
Back at Lamplighter, it was the bounce, and Gary
sleeps with the fishes. Sleeps with the fishes.
Yeah,
knock some heads, man.
Sleep with the fishes.
You got to be polite about it, bro. Just knock some
warn
heads.
people, Ray, or do you just say, you know what, this is not a guy. He's not going to change. You get him out of here. How does that conversation sound like?
You definitely warn them. I think in the early days it was just a foot race out the door. Gary Edgeworth, I had to kick him out for a month. He was just
Gear Bear.
And just other players like that. But nowadays it's a conversation. Of course, you say, listen. Every time you come to the draw your partner, I get 5 players that come up and say, if I draw her or him, I'm going to forfeit.
Yeah, right.
So
Ray,
we have a problem.
Ray.
Yeah.
Gary's a dear friend of mine. When did you kick? I have to call him after this and tell him, just give him a bunch of crap. When did you kick him out of? What year was it you kicked him out? Was this like 9 months ago? When did you kick him out?
No. This is back in Lamplighter. This is back in like 80. This is back when that crew that you were talking about, Scott Weidman, and all those guys, and Stu Steiner, all those guys back in those days. Dude,
fine.
He was just a mouth, and it wouldn't stop. I'm a karate champion. My dad's a karate guy, and I said, "Listen, man, stop."
I throw a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. I'm a gun range marksman expert.
Oh my god!
He's so angry. There's a running. I love the guy. There's a running joke about him that he wears a helmet on his off time because he runs straight into walls full speed.
There's an image.
No, Gary and I are great friends now, and we always have been. But there was just a time when you got to say, "Hey," you just got to say, "Hey."
Ray,
you got to knock some heads.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you just got to say, "Hey," and
Ray, since we're on the topic, as a promoter, since you've been doing this, what's the most outrageous thing you've seen somebody do at a tournament?
Brave question, Tom. Brave question.
Was it Mark?
Something Spear did, I'm sure. I'm sure something Tom Spear did.
I would think it would be Brubaker, but we'll see.
It actually wasn't Tom Spear. It was actually Brubaker.
Yeah, called it.
Yeah, I put my money on Mark.
You know, you just don't do that.
Just
especially
don't do
when the
that.
other players.
Oh, by the way, I don't know the story. I'm just throwing darts and making a guess. I don't have a clue what actually.
I don't know if it's appropriate to tell the story, but I have it. But
you can
nobody's telling you to not tell it. Nobody's saying please
give us
don't.
the PG version. Give us the PG version. And by the way, Mark Brubaker's a great guy.
This happened in public, right?
It did. And
okay, if it's a public occurrence, it can be a public.
I think he punched someone out.
Yeah. Oh, several times. Several times.
Wow.
But this is an incident where
he's a roughneck, man.
He is definitely, and he's got so much talent. And he
is incredibly talented.
Mark, you lost to that guy that you're a better player. I go, let it go. Look at your world championships. Look at all that you've done. And because the guy ball whacked and slapped you out, that doesn't mean you need to just beat him up.
Oh man!
Let's talk about phrasing in foosball for a second.
Ball whacking.
You got your guys.
Ball whacked and slapped him out.
Where's my bleep?
You got guys that you can think with, and then you got ball slappers.
It's so true.
Flip it. Mark that, please, somebody.
I love it.
I went 15.
I got it, Clay.
I went 15 matches at Colorado State, and I lost to a rookie. Yeah,
Ooh.
I lost to a rookie. Yeah,
those fluffing ball slappers, man. Those fluffing ball slappers.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a really good question for you, RayGun.
Yeah.
Not to change the subject, but what is the most incredible match? I mean, dude, you've been in foosball since you said 79. I mean, that was the pinnacle of foosball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the end of it. So, dude, what was like the coolest match that you have ever witnessed?
It was Tom Spear and Todd Lafredo in open singles. And it was meat nut, right? I mean, who doesn't want meat nut in that?
The crowd always wants meat nut,
right? So back then, I used to just stare at Tom Spear's face. He had such a poker face, right? And he was always like summing up what did my opponent just do? But he's doing it like at a high speed. And so if you scored on him, he would just look at you, okay? And he'd look back down at the table. Well, he's playing Todd Lafredo. It's meat nut, okay? And the ball gets loose on between the 5 rods. And they're both just pounding at that thing, trying to grab it. The ball flies up in the air, and it lands right on Todd's 3-bar. And as soon as it hit the table, it was an open hand pull kick, dead bar.
Oh, deadly.
Win. It was just the most phenomenal match, and everybody just sat there because we love Tom and we love Todd. And nobody said, "Yeah," everybody's just like, "Oh my god!"
In awe, I bet. Yeah,
it's like, "Oh my god," So, yeah, that sticks out in my mind from back then. There's so many matches.
That's a good one, man. Wow, yeah. I've definitely heard of the battles between those two guys.
Yeah, and they're totally different players.
They really are.
Tom is like a real. I'm not saying Todd's not a thinker. I'm just saying Tom is like, he's dissecting you every second. He knows how good you are by the way you drop the ball, or your first 3 or 4 5-bar passes. He's summing you up. He knows exactly what you can do and what you can't do, and really he's just preserving his energy and playing to a level where he knows he can beat you and move on.
Right.
So
Ray, Tom made my number 1 5-bar all-time list ahead of Tony by a spot and ahead of Dave Gummison and other great 5-bars. But I like to go back to this because I like to be introspective and I like to be fair. And like I said, I romanticize my era like anybody else does. But you've seen a lot of foosball. Where would you realistically put Tom Spear's 5-bar?
You mean compared to the players today too?
Yeah, on all facets of it, including executing under pressure. Style of play, just compare it to the top 5-bars you've seen over the decades. Where does his 5-bar sit in your mind?
Boy, I tell you, it's got to be a top 5. And it's so thoughtful. That's the thing. Like with Tony, I played Tony, and I came off the wall for just a nanosecond. It was on his 3-bar. Okay. So and with Tony, it's so much muscle, so much force, but with
brute
Tom,
force, yeah.
brute force, super high muscle memory. I mean, anybody that can just sit there and change speeds on the tic tac and set you up. But with Tom Spear, it was different. He knew what you could do and what you couldn't do, and so he knew what passes to play, what passes to use against certain players, and I think that's the difference. He was more of a finesse player. Do you guys know who Sticky is? Steve?
Sticky?
No.
We call him Sticky. He was a master here in Colorado. He doesn't play anymore, but same thing.
Last name? What's the last name?
Steiner.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that name.
Yeah. So he similar type of player as Tom Spear. Very he was smooth, very finessed. But Tony,
I once heard. Sorry to interrupt you. I once heard that that Tom Spear was the greatest mind in foosball of any era.
That's why I stared at him. I every time he played, I had to go up to the table. I just stared at the guy, like he was just incredible,
a marvel. Yeah.
He was.
He came to California a couple times, and even guys that didn't like in California, we had a lot of attitude. Not that there's not a lot of attitude everywhere, but there's a lot of high-minded attitude. I don't know where it's placed because we never won shit. But there's there's like some kind of arrogance behind our attitude, and people that were not typically in awe of anybody. I watched Fernando beat Fernando de Rosa, or Fernando Rosa as his former name. I watched him beat Lafredo as a rookie in San Bernardino. There's no respect. But Tom Spear comes to Northern California, and guess what? Fernando's saying, "There's Tom Spear. There's Tom Spear." He carried him. He carried a mythology around him back then, and he's the kind of guy who would beat Adrian Zamora. Never beat Tom Spear ever. He's the kind of guy who you just you felt his presence, you felt his awareness of the game, and he did weird things, man. Like a purist in his own way, but he knew by the direction of your 5-bar, the passes he could do where if he got blocked, he was going to get the ball back over and over and over. That's how thoughtful he was.
That's next level, man.
It's meta. It's meta foosball. It's not even. We don't have guys really that think about the game because there's a lot of brute. Tornado changed the game fundamentally in a lot of ways. We spoke to it earlier. It's a brute force muscle game. It's a different type of game than Dynamo was. I never played Dynamo, but those were finesse tables. And Tom Spear brought a different level. Now, another thing Tom Spear did was because of his mental approach to the game, he put pressure. It's not like, I mean, Tony Spredeman is a phenom because he does have muscle memory. He has reactions and speed and brute force on the 5-bar like we haven't seen. But he's not the only guy, though. There were plenty of guys that muscle passes through. I mean, foosball's been around for decades. Tom Spear would methodically take those guys right out of their games until they collapsed. I've seen him do it over and over and over. You did too, Ray. I mean, you got powerhouses, Rudnicki and Lucas and Gary. These guys crush the ball. These are big, huge guys, and the foosball table is like a toy. And Tom would just dismantle them, take them apart.
Yeah, and he did it, and he did it with finesse, and that's the whole key. I think with the difference between like a Spredeman and a Spear is just the way that they approach the game. You know, Tony obviously is extremely talented, probably one of the top 5-bars of all time. And you know, Tommy York, oh my God, it's like a mirror. But anyway, yeah, it totally different approach. Like I said, Tom Spear studied the player. He was playing his opponent. He didn't care if you were a rookie or if you were a master. He studied you every second he was playing you. Even if he knew your game, if you were off that day, he knew it, and he knew what it was.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, higher mind for sure. Now, here's a quick question. This is a semantical question, I would guess you could say. Let's say someday somebody decides to do the story of Tom Spear. Who do you think what actor do you think should play Tom Spear? Is there someone that comes to mind?
An actor. Boy, that's a tough one. Gosh, you know, what's that dude's name?
Or you can think of some.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah. It's called The Joker. It's called The Joker. They already made it.
It's already been made.
There's a YouTube series that was done by a local news channel, I think in Denver, and they actually did talk about the story of Tom Spear.
Okay. Oh, it's an amazing story.
Well, you know that little documentary, it was done by Tom Cole of 9 News, and he came to me and he said, "Hey, listen, we're doing this thing on foosball in Colorado. Would you be willing to, help us?" And I said, "Sure." And
no kidding.
So, yeah, and he said, "So who can we bring in to show us really foosball?" And I said, "King Gabriel." Okay. And Kane came in and they did the filming and everything. And but when I watched the first couple of episodes, it
was a 3-part series, right?
Yeah, it slowly became about Tom Spear. And his slow decline. And I didn't appreciate it because Tom Spear was loved and still is in Colorado and around the world, I'm sure. But I didn't like the way that went. And actually, there were so many complaints that the other episodes were canceled.
Huh.
Yeah,
that's kind of a bummer.
I saw the 3 episodes they have on YouTube, and I was disappointed. And it explains a little bit if you're saying they just stopped it in the middle of it, because I felt like there was no completion whatsoever, and they kept leading you on to think that he was going to be interviewed or he was going to be on camera at some point, and it just never came.
They couldn't make it happen.
It was a little bit disappointing too, but yeah.
No, I think it's a story that needs to be told.
I saw Tom Spear here I've seen him several times, but I work with Tim Walters. We have our own crane company. That's why I haven't been on tour for a while, because we just started this company. But we saw Tom Spear on the street, of course. We pulled over and I said, "I've got to talk to him." So we got out of the car and he knew both of us.
No
Baller, Ray.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And we were having a conversation like all of us are, completely coherent, never said anything weird till the last second,
Wow.
I mean, everything was great. He called me on the phone one day and it was like a conversation like we're having. But that day, we were having a conversation and the last thing he said is that we need to take down these power grids. And he blamed it on somebody really close to him for disrupting the entire world, and it was just like, gosh darn it.
By the way, Ray, when you say you ran into him on the street, for those who don't know, that's not a euphemism. You actually you ran into him. That's where he lives, correct?
Yeah, he is homeless, and the thing about that, I remember working for Tom Spear at the Lamplighter. He bought the Lamplighter eventually, and I could see, like, I would be running the tournaments, and he would call and say some weird stuff like, "Turn the stereo, man, all the way up. Everybody likes it that way." I was like, "Tom, the stereo's way up. It's up as far as it goes." He goes, "Turn it up more." And so I would reach over and pretend I'm turning the stereo up. But then I'd come in the next day and there'd be spray painting on the wall, just things. And, he ran for mayor here in Denver. He wanted to run for mayor, and it was just,
seriously?
It was very sad. I'm telling you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
When you see a guy like Tom Spear, who was handsome and just really well physically kept, go down like that, it's just it's very hard.
Yeah,
it's hard to witness. So
it's amazing that the geniuses like this, and this story has been told a few times, about the fact that someone is so uber brilliant about what it is they do, whatever their chosen field, whatever they happen to be doing, and then there's some tipping point, something happens, and chemically in the brain, who knows? But yeah, that kind of situation takes place. It's unfortunate. It's part of the human condition, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I will tell you, though, that for all the Tom Spear fans out there, he is very happy.
Okay.
He told me the last time I talked to him, he goes, "I'm as healthy as I've ever been, even though it didn't look like it. And I'm very happy, Ray, and you guys are my favorite foosball players." He told me and Tim that, and
wow.
I'm sure he tells everybody that. But still, it's just, he knew us. He was very coherent, but there's still something there that needs to be fixed. And
sure,
you just wish you could help the guy. But
when's the last time he's been on a foosball table? I know I've seen pictures, but have you actually seen him play?
Going back to Mark Brubaker Jr.,
mm-hmm.
I believe I saw something on Facebook recently where Tom was standing at the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I talked to him,
that was a cool picture, by the way.
And Mark and Tom are really good friends. But the thing is when I talked to Tom, he said, "Say hello to all my foosball family." He goes, "But I am not ever going to play again."
Huh.
He just wanted to make that clear, and that's fine. I mean, so
all right, well, cool.
Yeah.
Bummer and cool,
right?
I guess.
Yep.
So Ray, I think that this, certainly this is a story that continues to unfold, and someday needs to be told in its entirety. Maybe you could have a hand in something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's very, very cool.
I would love to do that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think my segue here is what is in the future for RayGun? What's going on for you in the near future? Where do you want to see yourself, let's say, in a year or two?
I'm really digging this production thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to replace Jim Stevens.
Right.
That is something that just can't be done.
Well, tell him
right. But my goal right now is to really start the productions and the commentary, and where Jason Wicks is with the graphics and stuff like that. I'm learning that stuff.
Yep.
But I really dig filming these guys in our local tournaments and just talking about the game, not putting anybody down.
Sure.
No, not a call by call type of thing so much, but just like, hey, Kelly Adams, let's take her for instance. When she first started playing, she was really struggling with her pull shot. But she got some help from players, and now she's becoming one of the top women expert players.
Wow!
And so you just I kind of grab the player that's on the table at the time, and I'll say, hey, here's Dennison Snipe. He's got a really wicked open hand shot from every bar. Here's Jedi. Okay, David Miller. He calls himself Jedi. He's also homeless, but he loves it. He loves it being off the grid. I won my last championship with him. We're going to France. So anyway, play senior doubles, but
yeah, congrats.
Yes,
for that, man. Honestly, that's awesome. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a tough team in that finals. I mean, it was at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm looking over at Carlos Perez Martinez,
who is a master, by the way.
Right, and Rob Loren. Is it Rob or Brad? Is it Brad?
We just make up names. If you don't know, just throw. Nobody will know the difference.
I thought he played with.
I don't know.
Steve, call him Biscuit. It doesn't matter. Just
anyway, that was Carlos's goalie, and we took both sets. And when I saw the Jedi walk in, I thought to myself, man, he is off the grid. Nobody knows his game. This is a guy that I could win with, and we did. And the funny thing about it is we went down first match. It's probably the worst team there. Everything they slapped in or hit went in the goalie box. We could not stop it. It was just horrible. But we came back with a vengeance. But so I don't know.
That's a big win, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it was a big win,
and qualifying for the World Cup is a big deal, man.
Seriously,
as a guy who's gone and played in a World Cup, like that's the biggest thing you can do in foosball.
Yeah, right now it's really about all the European tables, and Dan Barber's got all of them, and we go there every Sunday.
Oh, cool!
And we just play on them, and Bonzini. I just want to tear the thing apart.
Oh, come on, it's a Bonzini. You gotta like the Bonzini. I love
the Bonzini. First time I saw Bonzini was in North Carolina, and I went to a Bonzini tournament, and I went there 2 hours early, and I was like, man, I cannot play. It's like I've never played foosball before.
It's the reverse for me because that's what I was raised on. In 1974, that's what we were playing on, and we played that way for 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 nights a week. So I love Bonzini.
Well, the thing about the Carolina players is they are absolutely phenomenal on that table.
Yes,
Yeah.
You know, and
Somebody's
I
got
was
to be.
watching, I watched the World Cup, our men's team on the World Cup struggle on that table. I'm thinking if they had a couple North Carolina dudes there, man, I'm telling you.
Sure.
So
bring in some Bonzini specialists.
Right.
Yeah.
The hitmen.
Maxime
really
Blend from France.
Absolutely, you know, and it's so it's that's a dream come true. I think for me, playing in that European atmosphere, playing out of the country is something I'd like to do in the future. Definitely, I would love to help bringing tables into schools. That's pretty much in Sandy and Daniel Juarez's hands. But I messaged him and told him that I'm willing to, you know, use our venue and our tables.
Cool.
So, you know, and you know, I just love the youth thing. I think that's something I'd really like to get involved with. The production thing is definitely going to go. I'm getting better.
I got to ask you about that, Ray. I got to ask you about that. So you are doing it for fun. Do you want to monetize that somehow? What's your goal to monetize? Is it called RayGun Productions, or is that what it's called?
RayGun Productions. Mm-hmm.
And how do you want to monetize it? And if so, how do you want to monetize it? What's your plan?
I do not want to monetize it. I pretty much just want to focus on right now on Colorado. I have had a couple of invites to tournaments, but I'm really not there yet. I mean, Clay had to work with me for like 2 hours to get this thing to
work. You mean our
work.
tech guy? This guy is behind the scenes who, yeah.
Hey, I love a good troubleshooting challenge, man. So I'm all about it. And even then, we had to go with Plan B, which, by the way, is
working
I
great.
can't say enough how much I'm enjoying how clear your audio is. By the way,
it is.
Yeah,
his audio sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah, he was just working through it with me, and I'm just like, wow, this is. So I've got a little ways to go, but it's just it's the direction I want to go. As far as being a tournament director, I will always throw the Foosball Bash. I think that is it's just something that's a Colorado tradition.
Cool.
And hopefully
I'll see you there, man.
Yeah, and hopefully Brendan and Warrior Table Soccer will step up again next year, and we'll have a great multi-table tournament, and which is another stepping stone for that Foosball Bash. It's just something different, and I'm always about change, man.
Sure.
If you don't have change, you're not going to go anywhere. And so
adapt or die.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just do something different, and just keeps it fresh. And you know, we all know the game of tournament soccer is just it gets boring at some levels, you know. So you know, we have to liven it up at the local level.
So next year, when you've got the Foosball Bash in full bloom, we'll come out and join you. We'll do the live broadcast from there. What do you say?
That'd be awesome. You know,
and
that
would be epic.
Yeah, we get all the masters out there. You know, Robbie's out there almost every year.
Nice.
Ryan Moore's come out, and you know the way I do that is I make the masters play with a true beginner.
Okay.
I do not want to hand a trophy, a custom Stephen Rawlings trophy, to two masters. You know, like Keen and Robbie. So I make the masters play with the true beginner. And that way, you know, if the master wins, which they probably do, you know, Todd won with the Shell McMillan.
Shaky Shell.
Yeah,
Shaky Shell.
Yeah, he won with Shaky Shell.
Everybody's got a nickname.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
if you go to Colorado, you're not going to be called by your normal name. I don't know. You know, that's what we should do. Actually, you should have, if we had more time, you should have given everybody on the show their own Colorado nickname.
How about
Right,
okay?
for
We'll
sure.
work on that. That's a plan.
All
I
right.
love that for sure. Well, Ray, you know, unfortunately, the time they only give us 2 hours to run this podcast, this
sure.
live thing. But you know, it's an absolute pleasure getting the chance to talk to you, get to know you, and man, I'm psyched about for the very near future getting a chance to meet you in person.
You know, that would be great, Tom, and same with you, Mark, and Michael. It's just as soon as this thing kind of blows over,
yeah,
I'm going to get out on tour. I think our company's pretty stable right now, so Tim and I are getting that itch, and we'll get back.
Heck
on
yeah,
tour.
man.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Man,
absolutely. Thank
I'm
you.
really honored to even be invited. So, very, very humbled.
Well, now the door's wide open, so come on in anytime.
Okay, man.
All
I
right.
will.
Ray.
Great time. Thank you, Ray.
All right, guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
All right.
Everybody.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Absolutely.
There you have it, Ray Cordova or RayGun Promotions. Ray, of course, from Colorado. What a fantastic interview! Wow, and the 2 hours.
Class act.
Yeah, really terrific guy. Really terrific guy. Mark, any parting shots before we run out of time?
No, man. I love these. I love these kind of interviews where we get someone who has a lot of history,
yes,
and nostalgia, and all the things I love about my era of foosball is incredible. Good time. I love that. I love this episode.
Mark, I hope they don't drag you out of your car, man.
Now we're good. We're good.
So, Michael, any parting shots for this evening?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to have Ray on the show. And I just can't wait to see what the future holds for foosball.
There you go, man. There you got it. And thank you so much for jumping in tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks to Clay Toomey for hopping in at a moment's notice as well. But you've been listening to FoosTalk Live, and we'll be back again next Sunday live.
FoosTalk Live is a product of Foosball Radio and Inside Foos TV. All rights reserved. Our sincere thanks to 518 Prince, Foosball Clubs USA, Foosballers The Movie, Foos by Tony and Foos by Brandon, and the United States Table Soccer Organization. Join us next Sunday for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foosing.